Shapiro had every advantage, like we talked about. He had platform access when we didn't. We were all censored. We were all banned. He had a backroom deal with YouTube and Facebook to stay in business and actually to be a monopoly on conservative publishing. So they had the platforms, we didn't. They had an ungodly amount of money. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. We had nothing. We were canceled. They were not. They were welcome at every Republican conservative event. They were also tolerated, and the left would engage with them. The left would show up and debate them and deal them in. They were even profiled in liberal publications like the New York Times or the Atlantic or wherever. They had every single advantage. But in the end, what is it that did them in? And this article talks about it. It says it's not that they blew all their money on their Game of Thrones imitation act. It's not because they blew all their money on the Mr. Bertram cartoon. It's not for any of those reasons. The real reason fundamentally is they stopped getting the business because they lost the youth. We all know that in 2016, it was the campus conservatives that loved Shapiro. He was owning the libs. He was annihilating leftists in a debate. Daily Wire were the pioneers in digital content. I don't know if you remember, but back in like 2012 through 2016, there was not a ton of highly produced, viral, digital content from the political sphere because it was all older people. So in those days, Shapiro was one of the younger guys, and first at PJ Media and then at Daily Wire, it was guys like him and Clavin and Bill Whittle and others. They were the first ones to the scene doing clips, doing short-form video essays. They were on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. They were getting the word out. So that is what was there, and that's how they accumulated this huge youth audience, and that is what propelled the growth. So even notwithstanding all of the bad business decisions, even notwithstanding, let's say, a general audience falling out of love with them and their operation and what they were doing, what ultimately did them in the end, is they no longer had that fuel. They no longer have the subscriber base. They don't have the energy because they lost the youth. It was the youth that fell out of love with Shapiro. When you go and talk to high schoolers and college students and people that have recently graduated college, none of them love Shapiro. None of them watch Shapiro. None of them care what he has to say.
Yep.
Why is that? Despite all those advantages and the head start, they lost their number one secret ingredient because they did not have the truth on their side. They did not have.
Nick is absolutely spot on. I used to be a fan of Ben Shapiro when he used to make those, those compilations, Ben Shapiro destroying SJWs with facts and all those videos. I was actually a big fan of him because at the time it seemed like the media was just getting overloaded with fucking left-wing nonsense. So it was nice to see someone being pushed who opposed that and who opposed some of the ludicrousy and hypocrisy of the left. So I when those videos first came out, like probably Nick and a lot of people, I enjoyed that. But as the years have gone on and more truth has come out about Ben Shapiro and what he kind of stands for, and what his real motivations are, the hypocrisy of, freedom of speech, facts don't care about your feelings, all the way up until it comes to criticizing Israel. That's when that doesn't apply. Israel can do no fucking wrong in their eyes. And that's why people are moving away from him, because they have an inability to tell the truth when it comes to Israel and other certain things.
The truth. In the end, that was the most powerful thing that we had in which they lacked. And they could censor and they could avoid, they could dodge the debate with me, they could do their little whisper campaign behind the scenes and blacklist all their competition. But over time, it became very transparent that what Shapiro is an Israel first. Not a conservative, not a constitutionalist, not a Republican, not an American patriot. Over time, there's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide. It became obvious that who is he out for? He's out for Israel. He's out for Israel's wars, Israel's foreign aid, Israel's best interest. And it became clear he's not like us. He's a liar. He is a chameleon. This is an alien from another planet, metaphorically speaking, who has come to our country pretending to be like us, pretending to like us and care about us so he can advance the real cause, which is that of the foreign country. And it only took time and persistence and honesty and forcefulness for people to see this. It only took the Groyper War and Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens breaking off and Tucker finally joining the fray. All these people played their part. All of you played their part. But it was that forcefulness, that consistency, transparency, pushing that message in spite of the cost, in spite of losing, in spite of drawing the short end of the stick for all this time, for people to realize who is really American, who is really telling the truth, and who's out there for Israel. Now, what insights can we draw from this? We can't celebrate too soon and say, Daily Wire's dead, we won, Israel criticism won, the Zionists have lost, because we have to consider something very important here. We didn't win because we're us. We won because we were a vessel for the truth. We didn't win, the truth won. We won in spite of ourselves, in spite of the things that turned people off, mistakes we made, ways that we played it in a way that wasn't strategic or tactical. The truth won. We were representatives. We were custodians. We were a vessel for the truth. That is what enabled us and empowered us to win. That was the weapon. If we didn't have that, we wouldn't have won. You could be as funny as you want. You can be charismatic. You can be anything. But if we didn't have the objective, independent truth that exists outside of all of us, it wouldn't have been powerful enough to carry the day. That's why we won. Because the truth is good, and the truth exists independently of us. And the truth is something that cannot be suppressed forever. Eventually, rational people are going to hear it if the signal is going out, and they did. Why is this relevant for us going forward? Well, there's something poignant to say here, which is that as long as we have the truth, then we will win. As long as we have the truth, then on a long enough timeline, and in spite of the overwhelming odds, we will win. And we can feel confident about that, and we can feel encouraged by that. Look at what we have achieved in 10 years. I went from a sad, small webcam live stream in my college dorm room where I'm setting up the green screen myself. I'm in a $200 suit from Macy's. My production was terrible. I had no viewership. I went from that to arguably one of the most famous people in the country at one point last year through nothing other than sheer persistence and telling the truth every day for a decade. And that's very encouraging. And it tells us that if we maintain our commitment to that, that we can overcome everything and anything. And we don't need to worry about these questions that people like to ask. People say, are we too far gone? Can we make it? Are we going to make it out the other side? Is it over? We don't have to worry about those questions because somehow, although the arc of history is long, it bends towards the truth, which is irrepressible. And so all we have to worry about then, day in and day out, is not the odds, the outcome, the twists and turns of the battle. All we have to worry about is, are we on the side of the truth? Do we possess the charism of truth? Because if we do, then we got nothing to worry about.
Spot on. Spot on. The truth will always prevail. That's why Ben Shapiro's falling off now. And he brings up a good point. You shouldn't get caught up in this just hating one side or one agenda. It should always be focused on what the actual truth is. I think that's why he called out Dan Bilzerian. Probably feels like he's just spouting hate without any real facts or understanding about what the situation is, especially with Israel. So, biggest thing for this, guys, is don't just take my word or Nick's word or anything like that. Have a look into it yourself. Have a look into Ben Shapiro, who he's friends with, what he's involved with. Exactly the same with Daily Wire, and then form your own opinion. Then then you'll see firsthand the full scale of Ben Shapiro's hypocrisy, as well as other people at the Daily Wire. But yeah, the truth always prevails. It doesn't matter what you're doing in life. Always try and tell the truth. It'll get you to places. And it'll help you out. It might seem sometimes like it's difficult to. Sometimes the truth hurts and it's difficult to say. But the fact that it's difficult to say means it needs to be said by someone. You should be that person.
History will look favorably, even if we are martyred, even if we fail, it will look favorably on those that told the truth.
Yeah.
And maybe it doesn't work out for you, and maybe it doesn't work out now, but everyone that is telling the truth is causing a ripple effect. The signal is getting out there, and you never know how and in what ways and on what timeline that is going to deliver the victory, but you have to be confident that it will. Why am I saying this now? Because there has been this discussion on this show that I think people on our side are starting to overplay our hand. And in the exact same way that Ben Shapiro got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, overplayed his hand, he could have had a good thing. But in the end, he was so committed to the fraud he was perpetrating, which is this inherently deceptive front where he's going to pretend to be a conservative in America, but he's got an Israeli wife. He lives in a Jewish community. He's friends with Netanyahu. He's pro-Israel till the day he dies. He got so caught up that that was his ruin. And I suspect that there is something like that happening on our side. The second that people start to get carried away and they say, we are anti-Israel or anti-Zionist first. We don't care about the truth. We don't care the truth value of what we are saying, or whether what we are saying is supportable with evidence, or whether what we are saying is rational. All we care about is we're in a battle. It's us versus them. It's us on this side. It's them on the other side. We're just going to say everything, flood the zone, take a side according to this tribal mentality. If we embrace that kind of thinking, we no longer possess the truth. If you no longer possess the truth, you don't win. You don't win.
Yeah, nail on the head. That tribal mentality, it then starts to shift you away from the truth. And that's exactly what you want to avoid. That's how you start losing momentum. You become biased. And you get exposed, basically. And that's what's happened to Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire, and why they're on such a downward spiral now. Yeah, I just wanted to sort of put this video out there, getting back into these, uploading daily now. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. As always, I said, do your own research on Ben Shapiro. Don't just take our word, well, Nick's word on my word. Have a look into it yourself. Study the amount of hypocrisy that Ben Shapiro's displayed, and then form your own opinion. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. Stay based. I'll see you guys on the next one.